Okay, so top 5 myths in the golf swing. You would have heard these before. Some of you have said them as well. So first up, everyone's favourite, we're going to spend about 20 seconds on this. It's you lifted your head went up, keep your head down, all that type of crap. I reckon I've seen one person where it affected him by lifting his head, and what players tend to mean is they'll look that way too early. Now, I've got good players that I teach that look that way too early because they're trying to turn. If you're keeping your head down, by the way, all the way through, you just cannot turn your body. Lots of poor contacts like that. So players that do look too early, normally it improves how they turn. They can probably still see the ball glancing down this way. But moving your head or looking that way early is very rarely, if ever, the cause for a bad shot. You have other issues in your swing before you're out looking at your head. And I hear mates tell mates, oh, you lifted your head, or a player in a lesson will say, yeah, my head went up. And then we film them, or we show them video, and they're down here, and they go, oh. So when your mates say that, it didn't happen. It's a myth. Completely ignore it. That's the first one. Let's move on. So up next we've got keep your left arm straight, which is relevant, but first of all, we don't mean like lock it completely out, completely rigid, because that causes some issues as well. For me, I know what people mean when they say left arm straight. They mean let's not collapse and have the arms do this, but don't often think of it as left arm straight, because when people do that, sometimes we get lots of this or this, somewhere around here, and a whole combination of other stuff by keeping the left arm straight. If you're trying to improve your width in the swing, do it with your trail arm. So rather than going left arm straight, where would you go with your trail arm? So my right arm, somewhere here. If I grab that, yes, my left arm is straight-ish, but it's not completely locked. If you're keeping your left arm straight for width, change your thought round, do it with your trail arm, and then when you reach your club or do some drill against the wall, how straight is your left arm? Probably not completely rigid, but give it a go. Okay, next up, teeing it high with a driver, hitting up on the ball, tee it high, let it fly, that type of stuff. By the way, hitting up on the ball, all else being equal, will hit the ball further. If you can do that and you want more distance, you should. Doesn't mean you have to tee it high, doesn't mean you should tee it high. If you're somebody maybe with a slice that doesn't hit up on the ball, and you swing, let's say, down and to the left, why are you having the ball 2 whatever inches up in the air? Because you'll be better off having a lower tee. If you do tee it a bit high and you are someone swinging down to it without great club head control, we sometimes often see this. And the ball goes higher than it does forward. You might be better off, or would be better off, teeing it lower, off the short whiter tees, that type of thing, or just put the wooden tee in the ground a little bit more, and just accepting that you're going to swing down on it, but finding the middle of the club more important for distance than hitting up or down. So another favourite of mine certainly is hitting it with some topspin to draw the ball. Topspin, right? Now, look, it might feel like that. So if it works for you, having some sort of feel that maybe closes or de-lofts the club face, completely fine. If you relate it to a tennis movement, don't mind that at all if it works, providing the movement is a tennis sort of movement and not what people think topspin is. But anyway, now let's hit a shot. Let's hit a slice. So push slice. So that spin rate is just backspin. So 7,000 spin, slicing off to the right. If I try and hit a topspin draw, let's say, so somewhere down to the left, opposite curve, it goes from 7,000 to 5,000. It's still backspin. That's not minus 5,000. It's not spinning forward. The ball is just tilting on its axis differently. It's curving it the other way. It might feel like a topspin shot, but it's just less backspin. Okay, and finally, for this series anyway, there's a few more myths out there. Calling these rescue clubs. They're hybrids. They're just a mix of irons and your woods. They don't rescue you from anything really. Now, this is a 3 hybrid. For most players, it will be easier to hit than the equivalent 3 iron, despite it being a bit longer, with the bigger head, with a bit more weight at the back. Generally easier for people to get the ball up in the air than the iron equivalent with the same loft. Now, it doesn't mean that you call it a rescue club, and I see people go in the rough, which is fairly deep by the way, and they think this is going to save them, because it won't. It's still a long club, it's still got a flat face, it's still very hard to hit. It's just easier than the equivalent iron. So if you're in the rough and it's deep, get out with a wedge or something and use this for long shots. It is not a rescue club, it is a hybrid. It's still a tough club to hit, but it is easier than the iron equivalent.